Hello and welcome. Today, I'm going to share with you how to survive your first year as a freight broker or freight agent. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Dennis Brown. This is the Freight Broker Bootcamp live training that I do every Monday at noon. Let's make sure we're in focus here. I think we are. I don't know why my camera's acting a little goofy, but hopefully it stays in focus. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that are catching me on replay, hit me up in the comments with hashtag replay. I'd love to hear from you. For those of you that are just joining me live now, thank you for joining me. Hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. I'll try to give you some shout outs before we get started today, okay? And before anything happens, all right, if you're excited about today's training and you're serious about building your business, hit the like button no matter where you're at. I don't care if you're on Facebook. I don't care if you're on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever you're at, right? Wherever you're watching this, YouTube, hit the like button right now. Do me a favor. Truly appreciate that. And again, we're going to do some shout outs. So the agenda is going to be this. Number one, we're going to do the training. I've got my notes, right? Summary here, what we're going to go over. Number two, we're going to try to do a giveaway, maybe a Freightpreneur t-shirt, maybe some cash, not sure which one, but we're going to try to do a giveaway if we have time. And then number three, at the end, I'm going to do live Q&A. So I'm going to stick around, do some live Q&A. I can't stick around as long as I normally do. I have an appointment that I got to be to right after this. So I got to hustle, but I will try to get to as many questions as I can at the end. If you stick around, you'll be able to ask those questions live, and I'll do my best to get to as many as I can in the time allotted. So it's Monday, so that's Freight Broker Bootcamp Live time. I do these trainings every Monday at noon. If you're checking this out on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, right? Subscribe to the channel and hit the all notifications bell so you'll be notified every time I do this. And again, a lot of people are watching this on LinkedIn. A lot of people catch it on YouTube. Some people catch it on Facebook. Wherever you're at, I appreciate you being here. Let's do some shout outs really quick, and then we'll jump into the training. Leonard from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, welcome. Misty from Fort Scott, Kansas, welcome. Centrisa from Georgia. DeMarquise from Texas, Ludmila from Chicago, Asim from Pakistan, Luke Thornton from Moses Lake, Washington, Michael from Zephyr Hills, Florida, Trey Got Game from West Virginia, Corey from Billings, Montana, Ulad Zamir from Minsk, Belarus, Rafman Logistics, welcome, Juan from Charlotte, North Carolina, Felicia from Phoenix, Arizona. Oh, let me get this thing back in focus here. Sorry about that. Kevin Perry from Raleigh. Thank you so much for being a hot shot from Houston, Texas. Listen, thank you guys for being here. Truly appreciate it. Again, hit the like button if you're excited about today. And if you enjoy these free trainings and like me to continue these free trainings every Monday at noon, make sure you hit the like button. Your price of admission is this. Like, comment, subscribe. That's it. That's all it costs you to get in. You don't have to put your credit card down. You notice there wasn't a paywall to get into this free training. And I do these every single week. If you want to check out the replays, you can check out that on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel, search for Freight Broker Bootcamp. You'll see my bald, shiny head. And I'm aggravated that this focus, this autofocus is going wonky on me here. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm going to have to take a look at that after this, but we're just going to have to roll with it as is. I'll try not to use my hands, but that's usually what screws it up because there's an autofocus. So all right, cool. So we've got a bunch of people live. Garo from Pasadena, California. Welcome. TBD from Memphis. Jay from Beaufort, South Carolina. Danique from Orlando. Ali from Miami. Welcome. Welcome. Cynthia Moore, as always, from Maryland. Thank you so much for being here. This is what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over how to survive your first year as a freight broker or freight agent. But actually, it's more than that. It's actually how to thrive, okay? So not only will you survive, but you will thrive if you follow this roadmap. So I've got 6 or 7 tips here, 6 or 7 things I want to cover today. So we're going to dive in here in just a minute. Let me grab a quick drink. Michael Bullock from Pasadena, California, welcome. Next links from Valley Stream, thank you for coming. And as you guys know, my favorite drink this is the blueberry one, but a lot of times I'll drink the cherry one too. It's awesome. All right. So we're focused. That's a good sign. And I've got my notes. That's a good sign. And you guys are all here. So that's a great sign. All right. So really quick, I just want to hear from everybody really quick before we start the training. And I promise you, we're going to get started right after this. Where are you guys logging in from? And is this your first time, or you've been joining these for quite a while? Are you on YouTube? Are you on Facebook? Are you on LinkedIn? Where are you at? Where are you catching this live? I'd love to hear from you and see where you guys are at. Fernando from Bakersfield, thank you so much. First time on Facebook, Starsky S. Clark. All right, cool. Who else? Talk to me. And then I promise we're going to start the training, and then it'll be worth it. I promise you're definitely not going to want to miss this if you're serious about growing your freight brokerage or freight agency. Misty from first time from Facebook. Deshaun from YouTube. Trey Got Game from YouTube. Somewhere. DeMarquis from YouTube. Noah from YouTube. Awesome. All right. So we got a lot of YouTubes. We've got some LinkedIn, mainly YouTube. So we've got mainly people here from YouTube. Okay, cool. Well, that doesn't surprise me. That's probably where I have the biggest subscriber base. So listen, let's get the ball rolling here. Today, I want to share with you how to survive your first year as a freight broker. But actually, it's better than that, because if you follow the steps I'm going to share with you today, not only will you survive, but you have an incredible opportunity to thrive and grow a profitable business. So these are the notes we're going to go over today. All right. So let me share with you really quick. No discernible order. Number one on the list, and this is probably number one in my heart, which is eliminate negative people. Now, I know that may seem harsh, but the fact is, when you are a startup entrepreneur, negative people can take you out of the game. Unfortunately, they're like cancer. They can kill you, and they can kill your business. And I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but it's a fact. People that are negative suck all the oxygen and all the energy out of the room, and you cannot afford that as a startup entrepreneur, whether you're a freight broker, freight agent, or in any business, okay? So you have to make the difficult choice and the difficult decision to eliminate negative people. That's number one, all right? Number two, I can't say it any more clearly than this. Don't spend money on dumb shit. Sorry, that's just the way it is. That's how I feel about it, and that's what people do. Unfortunately, when people start their first business or even a business, sometimes they spend money on really dumb things, right? Here's the reality, guys. As a startup freight broker, freight agent, you don't need a $5,000 website. You don't. You can get a website done for hundreds of dollars, anywhere from maybe $100, $200 up to $1,000 and have a really nice startup website. You don't need to spend $2, $3, $4, $5,000. Don't do it. It's a waste of money, but I see people doing it all the time. You don't need a $2,000 computer setup, right? Where you've got 3 monitors and you've got this fancy computer and you don't need it as a startup. Maybe someday you can aspire to that, or maybe someday you can afford that, but you don't need that as a startup. You need to be frugal, all right? You can get away with a computer that has internet access for hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars, right? That's all you really need. And you don't need, here, this is the funny one. You don't need hats and t-shirts that say your company name on it, because nobody wants them anyway. Okay. So don't spend your money on dumb shit. That's number two. Number three, don't spend your time doing dumb shit. All right. Now, again, I'm trying to be a little bit funny here, but I'm being, at the same time, it's very serious. Don't waste your time. People have a tendency to mistake busy with productive. Okay. Busy is having this big, long to-do list of all kinds of little, not very important things to do, and you just trying to check down that list and feeling like you're busy all day, but in reality, at the end of the day, you really didn't move the needle, versus productive, which is having a few really important things to do that day and then executing on them. The most important thing you are going to have to do once you start your freight brokerage or freight agency business, once you get it up and running, is prospecting, selling, having conversations with shippers. That is the most important. You need to tell your story. You need to have as many conversations as you can. Anything short of that, 90% of your time needs to be spent in that arena to start generating positive cash flow, right? So that brings me to an interesting point right now, and good timing, because I'm in the process. I'm about to open up my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program. Now, that's where I take this piece of my brain. It's a 5-week coaching program where I teach you everything I know about freight broker sales, strategies, tactics, tools, and my entire system that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker. And again, it's a 5-week coaching program. I can't go into too much depth about it, but if you want to get on the wait list, it's free to get on the wait list. You can get on the wait list at the link here that'll be on the screen, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/wait list. Okay, that's where you'll go to get on the wait list. Let me put it up here on the screen really quick. There it is right there, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/wait list. All right. All right. Number 3. This is one that you may have heard me talk about before in different trainings, and that is focus on relationships, not transactions. Freight brokers and freight agents have a really bad habit of being very transactional, not only with shippers, but also with carriers. So let's talk about on the shipper side. Just because a prospect tells you no today doesn't mean that you shouldn't follow up with them tomorrow or the next day. Maybe not tomorrow, but you don't follow up with them down the road. So you have to follow up. You have to play the long game in sales. It might take you 3, 5, 10, 15 conversations over 3, 5, 15, 20 weeks or longer to get that shipper. But the end game is to win, to get the shipper and to start developing that relationship so you can have a long-term relationship with that customer. So, the point is that, focusing on relationships, you have to take the long game. When it comes to prospects, that means follow up. Just because they said no today doesn't mean no forever. On the carrier side, again, relationships over transactions. The last thing you want to do as a broker is have to go to the load boards and post every one of your loads every time you need to cover a load. Your goal is every time you do business with a new carrier is that you develop a relationship with that carrier so that it's a win-win, mutual beneficial relationship long-term. If you want to develop a stable of carriers, a consistent base of carriers, maybe it's 50 or 100 carriers that are going to be running the majority of your loads so that you don't have to post and hope, okay? So relationships over transactions. Sometimes that means that you need to pay maybe a little bit more in order to retain that relationship with that carrier, but the time it will save you and the quality of service that you get is worth the extra 25 or 50 bucks on that load. So you have to really, I can't say it enough, focus on relationships and not transactions. Brokers have a horrible habit of being very transactional, okay? That was number 4. Number 5, land and expand, but don't stop prospecting. I'm not sure if I've ever talked about this concept, land and expand, but I'll give it to you really quick. The hardest part of getting a shipper as a freight broker is the first load. The first load, okay? But we all know if that shipper only moved one load, we would go out of business very quickly. So we have to land with that first load, and then we have to expand into more loads, right? So your goal after the first load is to create a relationship and seek opportunities where you can consistently start moving at least 1 or 2 loads per week. That's going to create a routine. That's going to create cash flow. That's going to create more of a predictable business for you. And in most cases, in many cases, That's how shippers work. They want you to become dedicated on different lanes so you become a resource for them whenever they have that issue, challenge, or that order comes up, right? So yeah, so land and expand. The hardest part is getting the first load. After that, you want to focus on creating some consistency, and you want to drive that relationship in such a way that you can then get 1 or 2 loads a week and then expand from there, right? So that's foundation. Number one, get the first load, then get some consistent weekly loads, and then you're going to expand into some other lanes and other opportunities and expand from there. But that land and expand opportunity, which I'm going to do some training on in the future, a much more in-depth training, is very important. But the last thing you want to do is stop prospecting, because I know I've seen people do this before. They get one shipper and then they start doing a lot of business with that shipper, which is fantastic, but they stop prospecting. They stop filling their sales funnel. That's a huge mistake. Here's the reality. New customers will sometimes come and go. Sometimes it's your fault. Sometimes it's not your fault. But ultimately, you need to keep your pipeline full. Your sales pipeline needs to remain full. So that means that on a daily, weekly, I'm trying to get this thing back in focus, on a daily, weekly basis, you have to continue to prospect, even when you start getting busy with your existing customers. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6, oh boy, reinvest profits back into revenue producing resources and activities. All right. So here it goes, guys. First of all, when you start making profit in your business, don't stick it in your pocket, right? It doesn't go in your pocket. It's not designed for you to go on vacation. It's not designed for you to go out and get a new watch. It's not designed for you to do foolish things. Again, you need to be frugal. Now, I know that you need to pay your bills. That's important. So the first bit of cash flow that comes off your business is going to have to help you pay your bills personally and your business bills. I get it. But here's the thing, guys. You need to reinvest whatever profit is left into revenue driving resources. Things like sales leads, right? Access to leads. Things like tools, like a CRM or a TMS, right? Things of that nature, like software that's going to help you drive revenue. Load boards, okay? Those are things that are going to help you drive revenue. Maybe if you got Truckstop or DAT, maybe you need both. Having that can open up opportunities. And again, in most cases, you only got to cover a couple loads to pay for each one of those load boards, right? So yeah, those are, visiting clients, taking them out to lunch, visiting prospects, the little bit of travel that's involved with that if they're local or close. So those are things that you would reinvest profits into to drive revenue. All right. And I'm going to give you a bonus one. Okay. This wasn't really on my list, but I am going to give you a bonus one. And that is this: find a coach or a mentor. Okay. This is number 7. Find a coach or mentor. Sometimes that coach or mentor might be free. It might be a friend. It might be someone you know. Sometimes you may have to invest some of your time, energy, and resources, and yes, that means capital, into someone that can help you navigate the startup journey, help you get customers, help you work through these startup processes in the early phases of your business. And again, we talked a little bit earlier about my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is that program, that 5-week coaching program where I take that piece of my brain, transplant it into your head, help you implement it to drive sales, how to get more customers. It goes from everything from mindset to filling your sales funnel. I'm trying to get this thing to focus. Mindset, filling your sales funnel, follow up, overcoming objections and closing, customer retention and development strategies, how to leverage technology. That's what the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is. It is everything that I used in an online course and a coaching program where I teach you for 5 weeks exactly how to do that. So you can get on the wait list. I'm going to be opening it up very, very soon, but you got to get on the wait list. It sells out every single time. It's going to sell out this time, but you got to be on the wait list. The only way you can get involved is to be on the wait list. So if you enjoyed today's training, do me a favor, hit the like button and give me a rating 1 to 10 below. 1, Dennis, this sucked. It was a waste of my time. 10 being, hey, listen, I'm so glad I showed up. Truly appreciate it. I got a nugget that I'm going to apply to my business. Anywhere in between, give me a comment and give me some feedback on how I can improve the training, because that's why I'm here, right? I'm here for you. I've already been fortunate enough to do over $200 million as a freight broker. I've built 4 multi-million-dollar companies in 4 different industries. So I'm here for you. And that's what these free weekly Freight Broker Bootcamp Lives are all about. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're curious about becoming a freight broker and you're just in startup phase, and you need to kind of navigate that startup early stage of getting set up as a broker, set up as an agent, or understanding how to do rates and the fundamentals, check out my startup program. It's called freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Trained over 10,000 students. I've had that program for over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. Appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button, subscribe wherever you're at, and I'll see you next week on another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. All right, for those of you that are sticking around, hang tight, because we're going to do a giveaway. I think we're going to do a Freightpreneur T-shirt giveaway. And then we're going to go into Q&A. Hold your questions. Do not type your questions in the chat box yet, because I will lose them along the way. Okay? I will lose them along the way. All right? Okay, and the feedback so far, appreciate it. Noah, thank you so much. Trey Got Game, thank you so much. Garo, thank you so much. Danique, Bucky, Jay, Desmond, thank you. Appreciate the feedback, guys. I really do. And listen, I have thick skin. I'm not looking for this as an ego boost. I want to improve and enhance these trainings. I want to serve you to help you survive your first year and beyond as a freight broker. So if there's things that maybe things that I've missed, feel free to hit me up in the comments. Maybe there's things that I glossed over, I should have went a little bit more in depth with. Feel free. I love your feedback. I want your feedback. Okay. I'm not going to get mad. When I ask for your feedback, give it to me. Okay. If I don't ask for it, depends. But I'm asking for your feedback. So I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now we will, let's do the giveaway. Okay. But wait, before we do the giveaway, just really quick, I want to stress this really quick. Let me get this thing back into focus. It's aggravating the shit out of me because it's not focusing right. I don't know why this goddamn camera's doing it. But anyway, okay, about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's opening very, very soon. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are not on the wait list, you won't have an opportunity to be involved in the program. I've got multiple different ways you can be involved. It's not free. It's not cheap, but it's worth 10x whatever you invest in it. Okay. You will get all the details when I launch. Don't ask me how much it costs. Don't ask me when it's launching. I don't have that information yet because price is subject to change. Here's what I can tell you. I've had people tell me that this is a $10,000 program, and I'm not charging anywhere near that. Okay. But I will tell you this, past students that have went through this program, every student that goes through the program, we send out a survey once they complete the program. And at the end of the program, everybody who's completed that survey has answered a question 1 to 10. How do you rate the program? What's the likelihood of you referring this to a friend? I would have been happy with a 7, ecstatic with an 8, but our average is a 9.2 out of 10. If that doesn't answer it for you, this is after they've already went through the program. There's nothing I can do to convince you. Okay. I'm not here to convince you, but here, if you get on the wait list, you'll get all the details. It's going to be launching very soon in the next 2-3 weeks, assuming we can connect all the dots, which I think we will be able to. And I look forward to seeing you on the inside. So let's do the giveaway. All right, cool. If you guys want a chance to win the t-shirt, which is Freightpreneur, someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand, lean in and listen carefully. Here's all you got to do. This is for US only viewers. I apologize, but I don't ship these shirts overseas. So this is US only. Pull out your smartphone, okay, whether it's Apple, Android, whatever it is, and pull up your favorite podcast app. If you're on Apple, it's the Apple Podcast app. It's a purple app that you'll see on the phone. It's automatically built in. And then search for Freight Broker Bootcamp, okay? You'll see my bald head and the logo. It's free. What I want you to do is go in and rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and these are audio-only trainings. I think there's about 100 or more free trainings on my podcast that you guys can listen to when you're in the car, when you're walking the dogs, when you're working out, whatever it is. rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, and then come back into the comments here, wherever you're at, and tell me, I rated, reviewed, subscribed on Spotify, or rated, reviewed, subscribed on Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast, whatever it is. Okay. I feel so weird doing that every single time, but the focus just keeps on, I keep on losing focus here. I don't know why. But yes, please do that. And then come back in and hit me up in the comments. It's an honor system. So yes, it's an honor system. Come back in and I'm going to pick one winner from whoever does that. And I'm going to send you your shirt. Okay. I'm going to send you the Freightpreneur t-shirt. Someone who solves problems you don't know you have in ways you can't understand. Okay. So hit me up with that now. All right, cool. Subbed on Google Podcast. Okay. So rate, reviewed, subscribed on Google, rate, reviewed, subscribed on Spotify, rate, reviewed, subscribed on Apple, wherever it is, hit me up. I know that some of them don't allow you to review, but I know that Spotify and Apple do for sure. Not sure about Google, but yeah. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know that you guys did that. And I will pick a winner very shortly. Right now, there's Fernando has 100% chance that he's going to win the prize, which is the t-shirt, because he's the only one that's done it so far. Yes, I know Google didn't let you review, right? I know Google's podcast doesn't allow it, but Apple does, Spotify does. So yeah, rate, review, subscribe. Make sure you type that in the comments, rate, review, subscribe. Again, this is the best of the best of the best audio trainings I've ever done. These are past webinars. This is over the last decade. These are past webinars, live Q&As, live trainings that I've done, coaching sessions with my high-level mastermind clients in the past. So these are like, this is like the vault, okay? And what I do is I put them out in audio-only format on the podcast. We've been very, very blessed. We were ranked by Apple in the top 100 out of all entrepreneur podcasts, okay? That's not just in the logistics or freight or trucking niche. That's all entrepreneur podcasts. There's tens of thousands of those podcasts, and we were ranked in the top 10. I want to thank everybody for that. Obviously, the content is great, but you subscribing and listening is what really drives that. So thank you so much for everybody who does tune into the podcast. We release 2 new trainings every single week, 2 new episodes every single week. Some of them are 3 minutes long. Some of them are 30 minutes long, right? It depends upon the topic, depends upon what we're going over. So rate, review, and subscribe, and then hit me up in the comments, okay? All right, so we got a couple people. We're going to give it another 60 seconds. You guys don't want the Freightpreneur t-shirt. It's free. If you're in the US, all you got to do is rate, review, and subscribe. If I can stay in focus, apparently something's wonky with my camera. This is aggravating me. I've never done that before, but I'm in focus now. So, all right, you guys got less than 1 minute. Rate, review, and subscribe. Come back in and hit me up in the comments. And then we're going to pick one winner, and then we're going to go into live Q&A. Hold your questions. Do not type your questions yet. Okay? All right. Oh, yeah, Noah's already won, apparently. Yeah, he did win. Banks, don't say done Spotify. Rate, reviewed, subscribe. You got to rate, review, subscribe, okay? Because Spotify allows me to do that. And when I pull this up, I'm scrolling through all these comments and stuff. It's really hard. That's what I'm looking for. Rate, review, subscribed on Spotify, whatever it is, okay? Corey did it perfectly. Thank you, Corey. And we got about 30 seconds, and then we're going to do the giveaway, and then we're going to jump into live Q&A. What time is it? 12:30. Okay, it's 12:30 Eastern. Yeah, we're going to have to cut the Q&A fairly short, so. All right. All right, I'm going to pick a winner, okay? I'm going to close my eyes, scroll through here. Let me see where they start. Okay, I'm going to scroll through here, close my eyes, and the winner is Corey Buchanan, or Buchan. Sorry, Corey, whatever your last name is, however you pronounce it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for rate, review, and subscribing on Spotify. You are the winner of the Freightpreneur t-shirt. So here's all you got to do to collect your prize. Hit me up on LinkedIn, or, if we're connected on LinkedIn, or on my Freight Broker Bootcamp Facebook page. Like the page, and then message me your full name, your address, your size, and that you won the Freightpreneur T-shirt giveaway, or you won the podcast subscribe T-shirt giveaway. Podcast subscribe T-shirt giveaway. Okay, so that's all you got to do. Some of your full name, your address, and your size. This is a large unit. It's unisex sizing. And I'll get that off to you. You'll get it within a couple of weeks. Congratulations, Corey. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody, for playing along. Buckin, that's right. I'm sorry. Thank you for playing along. I really appreciate it. All right, listen, let's jump into the Q&A. If you have questions, whether it be about today's training or about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator or about my Freight Broker Bootcamp online training program or about whatever it is that you have questions about, hit me up in the comments. I will do my absolute best to try to answer those questions in the short time that we have. And with the aggravating autofocus that seems to be going extremely wonky right now, and I don't know what's going on. All right, here's a question. Dennis, when using some of the invoicing softwares from Ascend, how can we be sure they will not solicit our customers, lowers rate since they have all the customer info? Okay, well, Ascend is not a brokerage. They don't do brokerage. So they're not a competitor of yours, right? So none of the other brokers have access to your data that use Ascend. Ascend is not a broker. They don't do brokerage. So they're not a competitor. So it shouldn't be an issue for you. Yeah, that's the reality. Hope that helps. Okay, Michael66. Hey, Dennis, thank you for your time. Real quick, how did you approach or handle in-person prospecting face-to-face with customers? Okay, so face-to-face can be real scary for people, right? And face-to-face, I believe personally, is much harder than over the phone. Because being rejected face-to-face is much more difficult in trying on your, I'm trying to get this thing to focus and it's not focusing. I don't know why. But anyway, trying to do sales face-to-face is a lot scarier. So approaching prospects face-to-face, first of all, you got to get past the mindset piece, right? Which is the fear. Once you get past that, now the key here is you want it, just like in cold calling over the phone, you want to be different. So a perfect example of how you might be different or stand out is if you're going through the front door to the reception area and you're trying to get to the shipping manager, doing it in a unique way. So I watched a video the other day that was really interesting and just very simple. This girl had a tip for sales for face-to-face sales and prospecting when she was going out kind of door to door in industrial areas. And she would buy these cookies that look like a foot. And she would have her business card and the cookies, or a cookie. And then every time they went into prospect and they went to the front desk, they would say, hey, listen, I just want to get my foot in the door. Could you give this to Joe Smith, the shipping manager, right? Because not very often are they going to just allow you in at that point. It's an introduction point. You may have to follow up with them face-to-face or follow up with as a phone call. So that's kind of an interesting, cool way to stand out, right? So that's an example. But what I found from a shipping perspective is if you can avoid the front door and you can go to the back gates, the shipping docks, if there's a way for you, and if you're in that industrial park or if you're in that environment where the shipper is, if you can navigate into the shipping docks, if you can get back where they're actually loading the trucks, sometimes from there, it's easy to get direct contact with the shipping manager, with the warehouse manager, with the load planners, with the people that are actually doing the day-to-day. So that's a little bit of a hack that might save you a bunch of time. But the key is you want to be different, right? And I will tell you that shippers, they all respond to food, okay? Donuts, coffee, cookies, pizza, simple stuff like that. Now, you can't do that for every single prospect, although you probably could if it was that shoe in the door cookie, right? If I want to get my foot in the door cookie, because that's going to be very inexpensive. But ultimately, you want to be a little bit different. And so those are a couple of ideas on how you might be able to do that. So I hope that helps. Michael Bullock, how hard is it to do brokering for overseas loads? Okay, as a freight broker, the only way you're going to do overseas loads is if you co-broker it with an international freight forwarder, because you don't have the experience, the relationships, or the license to move international freight. Now, if you broker, you could go to an international freight forwarder, and then you could hire them, right, as someone that would price the freight and navigate and move the freight and follow up and do all that. That's how most of the international shipments work. If you're going to do a door-to-door, let's say it's a Jacksonville to wherever, right? Someplace in China, or more likely a China to Jacksonville. If you got a customer that wants you to import something, you're going to get door-to-door pricing from an international freight forwarder. You're going to mark that up just like a truckload. You're going to sell it through. And then once you sell it through, and they give you the order, you're then reach out to that international freight forwarder, give them all the details, and they're going to pick it up and drop it and do all the work, because you're not an international freight forwarder. You don't have, drayage contacts in China, and you may not have drayage contacts in Florida, and you don't have a contract with an ocean liner, right? Or, so ultimately you're going to work with an international freight forwarder on that situation. I will tell you, we did a very small percentage of our business. I'd say less than 5% of our business was international, right? We did not focus on it, because what I figured out is that domestic truckload, if you niche down, is just as profitable, even more profitable sometimes, and there's a lot more of it, okay? And it's a lot easier to sell. So we did not focus enormously on international freight. We did a lot of drayage, meaning, inbound drayage. It would pick up at a port and then go to the final destination or some sort of a warehouse or distribution point. But we didn't do a lot of international where we were handling the door-to-door from China to Jacksonville, like that example I gave you. Okay. So yeah, or Long Beach, which would be more realistic from a Chinese shipment. So yeah, that would be how you would do it, but it's not something that I don't spend a lot of time on it in the course, because it's not where most people start, right? It's not where they start their first niche. Okay. Question: how do you introduce yourself through LinkedIn without being boring? Good question, right? All right. So a couple things you can do to stand out on LinkedIn. The first thing you have to do to stand out on LinkedIn is you got to optimize your profile so that you don't look and sound like everybody else, right? You want it to be unique. So optimizing your profile. There's tons of trainings out there online on how to optimize your profile to make a good first impression, how to optimize your profile for sales. You can find that on Google. Just go and search, right? I'm not going to go through how to optimize it, but you want to have a headline, a strong headline, a strong title, and you want to have some media built up in there, some multimedia. You want to have a good description, things of that nature. It's relatively simple, but you want to have a good, solid profile. Secondly, what you want to do, a couple ways to stand out is if you have a prospect, you go on their LinkedIn profile and you gather sales intelligence. So you gather information about where they worked before their current role, how long have they been with their current company, what geography, where do they live, where do they go to school, what groups do they belong to, and then you want to use that sales intelligence, or maybe something that they commented or posted recently on LinkedIn, right? That's another example. And you want to use that sales intelligence to come up with a compelling and unique sales hook, okay? That sales intelligence is any data that allows you to enhance the opportunity to get the sale. You can leverage it in your outreach or in future communications and follow-up, okay? So a perfect example might be, let's say, for example, I was your prospect. You knew I was in Buffalo, New York, because you looked at my profile. And when you do the reach out, when you do the outreach through LinkedIn, rather than you focusing on trying to be freight broker extraordinaire or beating me over the head with your pitch, you might talk about, I'm a male that lives in Buffalo. So you might, and this thing keeps on aggravating. Oh my God, this camera's driving me crazy. But anyway, you might talk about the Buffalo Bills or the Buffalo Sabres or sports in general. That's just a simple example, right, of how you might be able to be different than everybody else that's saying that they're pounding their chest and saying they're the greatest freight broker and they'll save them money on their loads, which makes you sound like everybody else. So you want to be unique. You want to be compelling. You want to be different. So that's a super simple example. Matter of fact, that's how I got my first shipper on LinkedIn back in like 2008, okay, when nobody even used LinkedIn for prospecting back then. So I got into a dialogue with a guy in the Philadelphia area. We started talking about the upcoming NFL season. And the next thing you know, we pivot over into a phone call. The next thing you know, in the next 30 days, we were doing business with him. And I think I did over $600,000 with that company over the lifetime of that business. That wasn't a huge client, but it was a good client over time. So that's a perfect example, but you can use any piece of sales intelligence that's interesting, relevant, compelling, or contextual to your prospect in an effort to try to be different. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. Just give me a minute. I'm scrolling. Okay, so Carolyn Smith says, is it true that freight loads for carriers is a little slow at this time? So if you look at the last decade, okay, if you look at, let's look at the last 20 years in freight. Here's what you get. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's how it works in any market. It's does never look like this, and it never looks like this. You're going to get turbulence in those markets. There's seasonality. There's economic events, there's pandemics, there's slowdowns, right? There's recessions. That's just the nature of business. So yes, freight tonnage as a whole is down right now, okay? But here's the thing. It's still higher now than it was, let's say, for example, I don't know the exact data, but maybe a decade ago. And a decade ago, there were companies that were making millions of dollars and companies that were doing billions of dollars in sales. So it's all relative. Now, people are comparing it to the major boom we just had in the last couple of years. We had a major freight boom where there was more freight than there was trucks, and that caused rates to go way up. And so a lot of carriers came into the market. And when a lot of carriers and brokers came into the market, what happened is it created a little bit of an oversupply of trucks as freight went down. So now you don't have enough freight for as many trucks. And so now it's a shipper's market, right? Before it was a carrier broker market where we had control because they couldn't find trucks. Now there's more trucks than there is freight. And so what happens is prices come down. But as a broker, it doesn't matter because you're making a middle, right? When rates are up and trucks are tight, it's hard to cover loads. And sometimes you can't even cover all your loads, right? Because you can't find a truck. When there's more trucks than there are loads, it's easy to cover loads, but you have to cover them at a cheaper rate. But as a broker, you're just looking to make a 10 to 20, 10, 15, 20% profit margin. So on a $1,000 load, you're just looking to make $150. And it's fairly easy to make that middle if you learn how to sell, if you learn how to sell value and you don't focus on selling exclusively on price, which is a major mistake that a lot of startups make. Okay, they try to be the cheapest. You try to be the Walmart, not going to work. You're going to struggle if you try to be the cheapest. That's the reason why I put together the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. And I'm going to give you one last commercial here. I'm going to give you one last chance here. Okay, and that is this. If you want to learn how to get shippers, and you want me to teach you and take that piece of my brain and transplant it into your head on how to get shippers and grow a sustainable business in any market conditions, up or down, get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, okay? Get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, and it's the only chance you'll have, the only opportunity you'll have to be a part of the program, okay? There's limited spots. Normally, I limit this to 100. This time, I may be limiting it to 50. All right, which means it's going to sell out. It might sell out day one, but you got to be on the wait list in order to get notified. You'll be notified. You'll get a link where you can click, see all the details, and you can make a decision if that's the right investment for you. And at that point, it's first come, first serve. Okay. So get on the wait list. I can't stress it enough, guys. No, C.H. Robinson does not own Ascend. Ascend TMS is not owned by C.H. Robinson. I know the owner of Ascend TMS. His name's Tim Hyam. He's a friend of mine. Fernando, just signed up for bootcamp. Can you give me a quick outline? Go into the quick start training. You'll go under videos, video trainings, and go to the quick start training. That is the best, fastest way. Go through the quick start training that will walk you through step by step on exactly what you need to do. Okay. Fernando, that's possible, but I don't recommend it. I'm sure that if you have the right CRM, if you have the right auto dialer, this is not a telemarketing operation, meaning, we're not calling consumers. B2B is typically not set up. When you're selling B2B, you're typically not setting up with auto dialers. Okay. It doesn't work that way. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's nothing I've ever done or would be interested in. So if you were dealing with consumers and maybe you were selling mortgages or you were selling something like that, then you could auto dial all you want and just try to dial into homes, or you were selling lawn care or you were selling insurance or something like that. Sure. But not logistics. I've never, even the biggest companies out there like CH and Coyote and stuff, they're not doing auto dialers. Okay. Angel, can a broker trust ITS, Internet Truckstop software, would not steal or sell your customer information to other brokers? I did. My students do. If they did, they would be out of business, right? If they ever got busted, they'd be out of business. Internet Truckstop has probably $100 million a year business. They're not going to sacrifice it for selling data to somebody. Okay. They've been around way too long. They're way too reputable. I don't have any interest in the company. I don't own the company. They're not a sponsor. I'm not beholden to them in any way, but I can tell you that the biggest brokers in the world and the smallest brokers in the world trust them with their data. They're not in competition. So it's just like any other software. Are you going to trust any other software online? You have banking software. Okay. Do you trust your bank that they're not going to steal money out of your account? Do you trust any other software that you use? Yeah, they're not going to. ITS does not sell your customer data. All right. They will not sell you the names and numbers to your customers. That's not what they do. Not how they make their money. That'd be counterproductive. Kendra, all right. As a potential agent, if I had a lawyer review my agent contract with a broker and make red lines, are most brokers willing to negotiate, or they just move on to an agent willing to accept terms? No, I'd be willing to negotiate. You negotiate if it's a negotiating point. If it's something that's negotiable, then they negotiate. If it's something that they have a hard line on, then they might not. I can't tell you because I haven't seen the contract, nor do I want to see the contract because I'm not a lawyer. But my point is that, yeah, you can negotiate. Absolutely. What I wouldn't do is if you had a 3-page agent contract where you've got 30 or 40 or 50 marks on it, they're probably going to tell you no. But if there's a few important things in there that your attorney's pointing out, then I would say yes. And at that point, I'd say negotiate, and you can always fall back to a compromised negotiating point, or even you can acquiesce on certain things if you think it makes sense to you from a legal perspective. Luke says, I need a quote on a hotshot partial rate that needs to be TARP. Does the broker determine the fee or let the carrier tell me how much? Luke, if you need to learn how to do price, you need to learn how to do a pricing. Okay. when you are just coming up with a lane, or you have a unique shipment, or you've never run this type of shipment before, your best source of data is going to be to talk to carriers and find out how much they want to go from point A to point B, and then you mark it up. That's what brokers do. Okay. So yeah, you're on the right track, but you don't let the carrier determine how much you're going to make. You get the buy rate, and then you mark up your buy rate, and then you sell that buy rate to whatever your shipper is. If the carrier says they want 1,000, maybe you're going to charge 1,200, 1,300. If the carrier says they want 400, maybe you're going to charge 500 or 600, right? You're going to make 100, 200 bucks. But yeah, you're going to mark that up. But the best source of data for getting those rates is to speak directly to carriers that move that type of freight. And the best place for that is the load boards. When you first get started, a lot of your carriers are going to come from the load boards. And then you got to take those relationships and parlay them into loads and opportunities and mutually beneficial deals off of the load boards, right? So you want to continue to work with them after you move the first shipment. What time is it? Oh shit, I gotta go. Joe, there's tons of invoicing software in there. Most TMSs have invoicing software built in them. So if you're using a software like an Ascend TMS, go sign up for a free trial. Doesn't even require a credit card. Go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. You'll see a special offer there. That's for the Ascend TMS. It has invoicing and everything built into it. You don't even have to put a credit card in because you're coming from Freight Broker Bootcamp. And when you go through the form, put FBBC because we're partnered with them. Okay. That's your coupon code. Put FBBC, and not only will you get to be able to sign up with no credit card and get a free trial, but you'll also get a shippers list that they will give to you. It's not something that I provide. They have a separate shippers list that they will give to you absolutely free as a bonus just for signing up. So go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com/TMS. You'll see all the details. You can sign up for a free trial. In the coupon code, you have to put FBBC, and then you'll be able to get that special offer. Okay. So that's what I would suggest. But most TMSs have invoicing software built into them. If not, there's a gazillion invoicing softwares online. You don't need to break the bank. Holly Grove says, would you recommend cold call versus face-to-face with shippers? Depends upon your past experience. It depends upon your niche. It depends upon whether, your niche is geographically located near you. My business, we only did about 1 or 2% of our business. Our first year in business, I think we did about, I don't know, not very much, very small amount of business locally in my market. But within 3, 5, 100, 1,000 miles, we did a lot of business, right? So it wasn't realistic for me to do face-to-face because of the geography, because of the time and the costs associated with that. So if your niche is locally based, then I think face-to-face is a great way to go in conjunction with phone calling, right? With cold outreach. So I would do both. I'm a big believer in a multi-channel outreach approach where you use the phone, LinkedIn, email, face-to-face. I think that if you take a multi-touch point outreach approach with a sales cadence that allows you to break through the noise and get contact, because again, sales is a contact sport. You need to figure out, some people are not going to respond face-to-face. You're not going to be able to get FaceTime with them. Some people aren't going to respond on LinkedIn. Some people aren't going to respond on the phone. But if you attack all of those channels, you have a significantly enhanced opportunity to get through and break through the noise, right? But the highest closing percentage for someone who's a good salesperson, equally good at phone as face-to-face, you'll have a higher closing percentage face-to-face in my experience. All right, guys, listen, I got to go. I'm already running late. I apologize. I got to cut out early today. If you continue to put your questions in the comments, I will try to come back in here later this week and try to answer some of those questions, no matter where you're at. Truly appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you hit the like button, share the stream, no matter where you're at. I truly appreciate it. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're at. and come back next week for another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. For those of you that are curious about becoming a freight broker and you're just looking for the startup training, go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com. You'll get all the details. You can get enrolled, and within 1 minute, you can have access to all of the training in the program that's going to navigate you from startup into getting your first customers. And if you're looking to ramp up sales and you're looking for a freight broker sales specific training, you're definitely going to want to get on the wait list for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. And I can't find the link, but I'll find the link. There it is right there. freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. That is for the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. That's where I teach you everything I know about freight broker sales strategies, tactics, tools, and my entire system that allowed me to do over $200 million as a freight broker. Get on the wait list. We'll see you guys next week on another Freight Broker Bootcamp Live. Appreciate you guys being here. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you next Monday.